Welcome back, everyone, to Hearthstone Grandmasters, and shout out again to Gia, has been putting out some excellent content. If you ever want to check out these fun segments that we do, whether really educational and informative with people like Gia, or whether cringe and awkward with myself and Firebat, go ahead and head over to youtube.com/Hearthstone Esports if you're seeing this on a different platform, or if you're just already on this page, go ahead and subscribe. Coming next, we got series number 3 out of 5 today. We got NoHandsGamer going up against lnguagehackr. We talked a little bit about the series in terms of the lineups heading in, TJ. But once more, kind of a unique combination of lineups that we weren't really expecting. But I'm pleasantly surprised. lnguagehackr really putting faith in some of the more proactive pressure decks.
Yeah, proactive pressure decks and no priest in the lineup, which seems to be the deck that, while still having some success, seems to be targeted more often than not. There's just a couple decks that have kind of risen in popularity that push it out a little bit. One of the big ones, I think, being Zoo Warlock, which, you know, NoHands does have in his lineup. But NoHands has a little bit of a interesting lineup himself. He's got some aggressive decks with a very low curve priest as well thrown in the mix, which, you know, when you consider those things, makes sense for the Bomb Warrior ban, because that's a deck that's going to take wins against just about everything he has in his lineup. We're going to get into the first game. It is going to be the Highlander Priest for NoHandsGamer and the Soul Demon Hunter for lnguagehackr. Pretty standard Soul Demon Hunter. As far as the Priest goes, I mentioned it is low curve. It's low curve, but it's also lacking
draws close.
like significant tech cards, I suppose, is a good way to put it. So it's just like got a very consistent suite of early game minions, and nothing that's targeted at anything specific. So no weapon removal, nothing like that. And I do like this deck, especially when you're considering a faster meta, because you get all the benefits of Highlander Priest with like Zephrys and Raised Dead, with, you know, actually he doesn't even have Drag Queen Alexstrasza. It's very lean. It's so low curve, it blows my mind. Like, more than half of his deck is less than 3 mana. That's crazy. Half of his deck is less than 2 mana.
Yeah, there's just a lot of low curve options to control the state of the game and also just pressure if the situation calls for it. But
Wow.
I mean,
15 cards that are 2 mana or less. 15 cards, 2 mana or less. In Highlander Priest.
I like it. I like it because it reminds me a little bit of people who like to play like Highlander Paladin and played an aggressive version of that. Back in the day when, you know, you would play like the Brazen Zealot and try to get onto the board really quickly, and then use Zephrys to most likely close games, or in really pinch scenarios, maybe like summon Tyrion, and then Tyrion would give you that weapon damage with Ashbringer to close it out. But yeah, it reminds me of that, and it feels like it has also some capability to just drag it out deep into the late game, because you do have some cards that generate value in the form of Murozond, Galakrond, of course, and any other like mid-sized minions that are capable of going the distance. Yeah. So I appreciate it, TJ. I think that this is a pretty fun, well-built deck, and I'm really excited to see.
Yeah. The question is it worth playing a Highlander deck for just Zephrys? Especially a low-curve Highlander deck for just Zephrys. That's the big question that I have.
I would say yes, just because philosophically, like, Zephrys is just one of the strongest cards that's ever been printed in Hearthstone so far. Like, it's kind of part of what makes a card strength in a card game is usually its versatility as an option, as well as just its raw power level. Zephrys has both, right? It can give you raw power and stats, and it also has like incredible flexibility and manipulation to give you exactly what you're looking for. It's just super powerful. Of course, the condition is supposed to be a lot harder to hit, right? Like, this Highlander is supposed to make your deck more inconsistent. But as we've seen, there's a lot of ways to make those inconsistent decks, in air quotes, actually more consistent.
Hey, Raised Dead being one of them. You get some 2 of early game minions. These ones maybe not the best, but NoHands still has some good ways to pick apart. Dragonmaw Skystalker, probably the best just because you can play it on curve. Still go Disciple of Galakrond as a penance here. Yeah, still holding on to board. Even a shadowy figure to follow up the Dragon Ball Skystalker. Nice. We're piecing together quite the curve here, Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, the Dragon Ball Scorcher already on curve is nice because it gives you a lot of tempo against a class that's going to be difficult to deal with because Demon Hunter is really good at dealing with the front half of stuff. It seems like without the ability to silence, they're really not that efficient at dealing with the second half because they have like one big sweep of AoE, right? Like one Blade Dance. But like to deal with multiple layers of that is going to be really tricky. So having 2 forms of the Dragon Ball Scorcher is going to be problematic.
Yeah. Even 3 with the Wretched Reclaimer, if he can get to that point. The bummer for No Hands is that Language Hacker has drawn both the skulls and this double jump. As long, assuming he doesn't draw Consume Magic before then, will guaranteed pick up the 1 Consume Magic in his deck. And it will be outcast right away, as soon as he plays it. Oh, he's just going to play it now. Okay. Well, I did not expect that.
I mean, I think it's one of those things where, like, Language Hacker wants to... Actually, hold on. Let me think. It is interesting because, you know, I was under the belief that when you have, like, all these weapons, like Marrow Slicer, you do want to set it up. But it seems like he's just going to take it and play reactively. There's no, like, weapon destruction that he's particularly afraid of, right? There's no Cobalt Sticky Finger or Acidic Swamp Ooze. So setting up that weapon is usually what I kind of think about, and it's not like he wants to draw things like a Skull Gul'dan either, so I am curious about that.
Well, so I guess it's just he wants to get... He has so much draw already in the hand that he wants to get value from the double jump while he can. So if he's going to draw cards anyway over the next couple turns, which seems very likely that he's going to, might as well play the double jump to get out the Consume Magic. And it kind of doubles down as well. Doubles down on the double jump. If he's drawing so many cards, the draw from Consume Magic is not why you want the card. Silence. So it doesn't matter if it's outcast. As long as it silences a minion, he's happy with it.
Okay, well, we'll see if it ends up paying off. And right now, this Dragon Ball is really annoying to deal with for Language Hacker. How does he want to go about it? Does he acknowledge it? Does he simply say, I'm going to try to tempo swing it through a Skull of Gul'dan?
Demons? Demons.
If he does not silence this Dragon Ball Stalker, he is going to get tempo blasted into space, Dan.
Alas, poor Warlock.
Shadowy Figure, Embalming Ritual, and Wretched Reclaimer.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, here we go. Get wrecked, idiot.
He's ready. I mean, this is kind of what we've been waiting for, right? The ability to copy it and just flood the board with tempo.
Yes. You do it all. Start chucking things at this Dragon Ball Stalker. Just click on it 3 times. 1 time. There's 2 times. No, you actually click on the small one because then it comes back full value with the Wretched Reclaimer.
I mean, this is insane amount of tempo, and this is so
and a
powerful.
Reborn 1. Oh my goodness.
Jeez.
This one is done.
I mean, this is too hard. There's no definitive board sweep.
All right, let's see here. Can he race him? So you...
I'm thinking about the AoE here. But yeah, this is looking really difficult.
I'm thinking about the damage. So if he goes Aldraki Warblades, and then he could go Shard Shatter Mystic, and then Soul Shard Lapidary, or he could go Aldraki Warblades, Hero Power, Mana Feeder, because he still needs to find some Twin Slice action here if he wants a hope of winning this game.
Time grows short.
Yeah, this helps clean up some. And I think that's the most important thing. Like, Priest doesn't have too much raw damage from the hand, so it's going to be important that he controls a little bit of it. And Priest also has committed a ton of their resources as well. And like you said, it's mainly low curve, so no hands should theoretically not have too much to back this up.
Yeah. It's about as much as he could do to clear the board. And, you know, NoHands, his game plan is a little bit more all-in because of his low-cost out. Funnily enough, he has, like, the 3 most expensive cards in his deck right now, outside of Soulmere and Galakron. But don't do much right now, because Kronks will draw Galakron, but that would be his whole turn. He'd be kind of conceding tempo over to lnguagehackr. And I think Delaware has no value. I guess it's just Cabal Shadow Priest then, and keep fighting for tempo.
Change your mind.
Crazy that an insane turn like that.
Yeah, and yeah, he still feels like he's not anywhere close to winning if one Blade Dance comes into the hand.
Yeah. So there, because he used the that was one thing that we didn't note that lnguagehackr had information of, is that he only had one soul fragment in the deck, so he couldn't play like Lapidary and the Shard Shatter Mystic in the same turn. But does have Marrow Slicer, and now again, it's kind of like a tough question here. He's limited on removal options. Do you keep throwing weapon swings and these piece-by-piece removals into minions, or do you start to initiate a race, potentially? That's a big question.
Right. And I think maybe the line that he's feeling is like he doesn't have to.
Yeah. And I got Second Skull. I have, you know, plenty of healing in my hand with Eldrazi Warblades, Shard Lapidary. You're running out of resources. Maybe I get there, but I don't know.
Do you want to just get this Marrow Slicer and just start chopping
That's
away?
what I'm saying. Like, you're pushing 9 damage this turn. You put him down to 10. He's got to deal with an 8/8.
I wonder.
I mean, you do deal damage to your own minion with the Soul Shear, but Breath of the Infinite, sorry, Murzana the Infinite does give you the Marrow Slicer to push 4 plus 5, so 9, and then 4 more the following turn. So that's 13 damage in the course of 2 turns. That's a lot. But they also are a class that's surprisingly good at healing. I think Demon Hunter might be one of the more underrated aspects of this deck, is you might think it's trying to beat pressuring you, but it also has really big rebound opportunity.
Yeah. All that, the rebound opportunity is tied into almost exclusively Eldrazi Warblades in most lists, but then there's also Soul Fragments, but it's not reliable because you need to draw into them. Okay, so NoHands decides to not go for the all-in damage play, maybe for the reason that you mentioned of, well, if he has Eldrazi Warblades and can kind of clean up this board, then I'm in a rough spot. But well, we shall see. A lot of damage now in hand for lnguagehackr. And again, you mentioned earlier, getting those weapon swings out actually has some merit. Yeah. Because now, like, he's got a weapon swing here, but he's getting to the point where he has to equip Eldrazi Warblades. If he plays Skull of Gul'dan here and doesn't pick up, like, exactly Blade Dance,
Demons?
he might just die.
It's kind of the situations that we're kind of describing earlier, which is like, lnguagehackr has all these weapon swings, and just not enough time to get all these the durability out on his weapon. So it seems like now's the time to go for him. Can he swing this 12 damage lifesteal? That's 24. 12 to his opponent, 12 to himself, and start that race. Oh my goodness. I mean, that's the weapon destruction, right? Wait, do the same right back. Murzan just gives you all the attack. I like it. Could you equip
doesn't give you the Soul Shard Lapidary.
That's fine. You could still just trade into Lapidary, but you still develop a 5/5, and you still get to swing for 7? No, 6. Because you don't count the hero power as well. Could go to 8 though with that second slice. Wow.
So the Mirror's on hold really paying off.
Yeah.
And now, how does lnguagehackr ever get there? And maybe NoHandsGamer like predicted that. He's saying, well, I guess the only way I lose from this scenario if I'm staying ahead in tempo is if he tries to race me and I don't have the race. So if he waits until lnguagehackr goes for a big burst of healing, then he has tempo and he also gets the big burst of healing. So, and now lnguagehackr's concern is he's just starting to run out of damage. Like he still has a good amount of damage in his deck, but you know, he wasted a weapon charge.
Oh no! Oh no!
Alas, poor Warlock.
Yeah. So no blade dance. Is there a way that he can even just survive? Okay, so if he uses Soul Shear, then Glaive Bound Adept, there would be 15, 17. He would be alive by his count, but he's not alive with his Zephyrs. And I guess at this point, this is what you got to do as lnguagehackr. You can see kind of it coming over his face, which is like, this is not it's not ideal. He's not happy about it. He's also super dead because of this Zephrys. And that's a really interesting game number 1 that kind of has concluded here, where the Priest sees tempo. And it's kind of exactly what we talked about. Low curve, a lot of tempo options. We weren't expecting a crazy amount of development behind Dragon Maw Scorcher, but that ended up being such a powerful turn for NoHandsGamer, and it seems like he's really good at these kinds of decks where it's like recognizing a unique tempo opportunity and converting that. Like we've seen that even going into Grandmasters when you like compete in like WSOE or like was doing well in other tournaments. And it's actually super fun to watch because I feel like most people had this idea that Priest would just kind of like delay the inevitable and never really like take the offensive while just stalling, destroying your board, and hitting you for like 2 damage a turn. That was like kind of, you know, balls to the wall aggro, DJ.
Yeah, it was. Wait till you see the Zoo Warlock deck.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
That one is just insane to me. I don't even know. I very different from what we've seen from him in the past. I mean, similar core, but just some different tech inclusions, I suppose, is how I should put it. But yeah, Priest deck working out, and lnguagehackr, you know, you can tell that he was pretty confident going to that matchup, and then, you know, everything just kind of felt like it didn't go as according to plan. And maybe that's NoHand's plan, is to try and catch people off guard with lower curve stuff, make them think about the Priest matchup differently. We'll see. But going to the second game here, it is going to be that Zoo Warlock versus lnguagehackr. We're going to switch it up to Druid. And I kind of mismentioned earlier how lnguagehackr was going up against 2 players he thought would bring Turtle Mage. He wasn't. That was Monsanto I was thinking about. But lnguagehackr nonetheless still has 2 decks in his lineup, both his Zoo Warlock and this Survival Druid deck that have Living Dragon Breath, which honestly is not even like an inclusion just for Turtle Mage. It's good against all mages. Tempo Mage even needs freeze to stall a lot of the time in the game.
Right.
And that can help you push over the edge a little bit. So I still like the read from lnguagehackr, bringing Living Dragon Breaths and bringing a Priestless and Mageless lineup.
That's
very
true.
Against the grain.
It does feel like it's got some of that spiciness, just a little bit, enough to make you feel like it hits. But we'll see. Living Dragon Breath. So when I was playing, we actually kind of tested some deck lists, and like lnguagehackr very clearly trying to anticipate Mage. he is so anti-mage in terms of his mind that he'd rather just waste a card slot in his Druid to try to fight it, but he's going to throw away that and start things off in a more natural way. So he has this Wild Growth, which means that he can play the Guardian Animals when he gets to 5 mana, but that would require him to naturally ramp into it. You have to play Wild Growth on 3 and have 5 and play the Guardian Animals. Is there a way that he can kind of go about this in a different route, like maybe prioritize pushing out cards like Lake Thresher instead, and just utilize his front-loaded ramp and then use Wild Growth to recover afterwards? And I think these are all kind of questions going through lnguagehackr mind right now.
Yeah, I really don't think he can afford that. Guardian Animals pretty much has to be at the forefront of his mind. How do I get that out as fast as I possibly can? Not worry about much about what else is going on. No Hands off to a pretty good start, but not much follow up, and this isn't like the most aggressive start you can have. Like the can with that Evan Lock starts. But I did mention NoHandsGamer Warlock being a little spicy. He does runs double Rain of Fire. It's a pretty standard Zoo Warlock list outside of these exclusions and inclusions. Double Rain of Fire, only 1 expired merchant, a Sun Fury Protector, and a Brittle Bone Destroyer. Brittle Bone Destroyer not
at this point. Why not just commit? Well, I guess I'm not looking at some of the core stuff. I'm like, with so many 1-ofs, sometimes it feels like people like even slot in things like Zephyrus, right, into their deck.
Yeah.
They don't go full Highlander with like Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, but it's just funny to think about that idea because Zoo is pretty good at drawing cards these days.
Yeah. But the Rain of Fires are what get me.
Some real spice, TJ.
Yeah.
Some real spice. Sometimes it just gets there too, the damage.
Yeah. Don't quote me on this because this could be wrong. But nah, it can't be right. That can't be right. Okay, here it is. The Penflinger spell burst might trigger before it dies from Rain of Fire.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I personally have not played that combo, so I believe I'll just believe what you say.
I've played a lot of other spell burst combos, and spell burst seems to trigger before most things, but a spell that just deals damage to everything, I'm not sure if it does. So that's why I said don't quote me on it. Okay. Just think of me as an innocent bystander who walked by our virtual caster desk and said, "Hey, what if Penflinger triggered before Rain of Fire killed it?" Think of it like that. Don't think of it like I said it.
Feel like that's the case because I feel like if you kill other cards with AoE, then they're no longer on the battlefield, so they don't count. Like if Firebrand had something that killed it, would it still spell push for 4? I don't think so. But we'll just go ahead and just kind of wait and see.
Yeah,
Dan, we'll even have that situation come up to you.
Dan, actually, that was really stupid. Just I never said that. That was that guy that walked by our virtual casting desk. I never said that.
That's right.
I mean, how dare someone assert that Penflinger wouldn't die to Rain of Fire before its spell burst? Like, jeez. What kind of idiot? Oh my gosh. I'm offended.
Yeah, Flesh Giant comes down, but I'm more worried about NoHandsGamer's life total here. And Zoo Warlock hasn't actually had a really good performance today in particular. It seemed like some sweeps that we saw wasn't necessarily 3-2 match score, or 3-0 match score. They were more like 3-2, but it looked like Z Warlock was targeted a handful of times. And
yeah,
who was it? A-Rock that couldn't get a win with Zoo Warlock today? Felt really feeble.
Yeah.
And more like it just felt like really fragile. Like if you didn't get online and like super far ahead of your opponent, you just lose really hard.
Yeah. No, it did feel like that. And there's not that many different decks in Americas, honestly. We don't differ too much from Europe. Maybe a little bit more Turtle Mage over there. I'm actually not sure, but this is a kind of a little cute play. You can Crystal Power his Lake Thresher and then actually play Speaker Gidra onto the board to threaten lethal with one of these 7-mana spells next turn. So NoHandsGamer has to deal with this. He does have ways to do it. Oh man, now some great ways to do it. With a Soul Fragment picked up. Flesh Giant now with a life tap is free. Oh, Nightshade. Oh, wow. This is...
I mean, it's pretty close to the ideal turn.
Yeah, this is good. This is the juice right here.
If you find Soul Fire, maybe?
Oh, Soul Shear. Soul Fire would have been better, though, huh? Could have fit in that Flesh Giant. That's okay. Next turn, he has the Temple of Brittlebone Destroyer with Flesh Giant. Maybe even a Pen Flinger thrown in there for added gusto.
All right, well, Language Hacker has the Guardian Animals, but obviously, as we know, that he might be thinking about other alternatives as well. What's the best way of, like, distributing his resources here? And if so, could he actually even take it even more slow, knowing that Zeus kind of ramped up on some of the resources here?
I mean, what's more slow? Everything he does feels a little bit slow. Like, Guardian Animals only summons a Teacher's Pet. Overflow gives complete initiative over to no hands. He also doesn't have the hand space for it. Exotic Mount Seller, he can only get one. I mean, yeah, this looks just like a Twilight Runner and Hero Power kind of turn. And that's what No Hands wants to see. He wants to see a little bit of a dead turn. What's the pickup? Flame Imp.
Flame Imp. Not enough. And Ray's dead maybe can pull something up here.
Flesh Giant has died. Oh no! Oh no, 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 no!
It's a little bit too much.
If he plays those 3 Flame Imps, he dies.
Yes. He takes 9 damage. And all this pen flinging nonsense is not going to help at all. Is it time to, like, go for maximum tempo, play Flesh Giant, discard your Brittlebone Destroyer?
Yeah, I think you do have to play the 5/5 here.
Almost out of time.
Oh, the Head Flinger. Yeah, because if he plays one more Flame Imp, he dies to a Survival of the Fittest. He's only on 8 mana. Second Lightning Bloom's not out of the question. Still a bit awkward for Language Hacker, though.
Draw? Yeah, I was going to think, like, this is a lot of pressure. Is there a draw that he can get off of his Twilight Runner where he can use the Lightning Bloom and maybe find, like, additional mana options here? Okay. I was thinking about, like, the Mount Seller and, like, Lightning Bloom and other ways you can combo with that, but Ironbark is still serviceable?
Yeah, Ironbark's good. But the question is, do you use the Ironbark on the exotic Mount Seller? Or do you use the Ironbark on the Sarah Unleashed? Brittlebone Destroyer. You use it on the... Now that guy that pitched that thing will never know.
I know. We'll see. Doesn't look very nice for NoHandsGamer to stay down to 6-11. Has to kind of hard force it through with the Nightshade Matron. Or actually, you could use the Brittlebone Destroyer here. Don't forget about that card. So, Rain of Fire allows him to develop pretty freely here. So he can Rain of Fire, Brittlebone Destroyer, but then he can't Nightshade Matron. Ugh. It's also a tap for Soulfire. Wait, what?
Oh my goodness!
3 Soul Fragments? Alright, well, this is the push from lnguagehackr. I mean, both players kind of slugging it out here, and that heal actually allows him to develop a little bit more freely, and now lnguagehackr still kind of in a similar position as he was before. So then, is there anything left for lnguagehackr to pull from his deck, actually?
He has another Iron Bark.
Okay,
Right?
but he
Yeah.
can survive from what he sees if he finds that Iron Bark.
The problem is he's going to be overdrawing if he goes for overflow here. Guardian Animal still just pulls a Teacher's Pet, I believe.
Yeah,
It
just
looks
one
like he's just
minion.
going to go for Teacher's Pet.
I mean, that's the best he can do to stabilize.
Yep. And he is very likely dead. I believe the only thing that saves him here is a Silverback Patriarch.
That's right. Has to be a taunt minion, but NoHandsGamer has found his way through, and that would be a 2-0 lead. If he's able to do it, it's not 100% guaranteed, right? That's why he's not pulling the trigger immediately.
Yep. He's looking for a way to 100% guarantee it, but there is if he just picks up Soulfire. Oh, wow. All right. Yep. Yep.
And he finds a Soulfire. GG. Well done. Zoo Warlock pressuring the Druid. We kind of talked about this at the beginning of the show, how Zoo Warlock is going to struggle, or rather Druid might struggle against things like Zoo, and right now it is struggling to stabilize, and this is the second series that we're seeing Druid kind of die to a bunch of regression.
Yeah. But now, Dan, it's time for the matchup that I think lnguagehackr was trying to corner, which is the Temple Mage. He's got Living Dragon Breath in 2 of his decks. His other deck outside of the 2 that are up that have Living Dragon Breath is the Soul Demon Hunter, which is one of the worst matchups for Temple Mage. So he's got the tools to be able to do it. The question is, will it work?
We'll see. I mean,
Will it blend, Dan?
the thing is, Tempo Mage doesn't just always rely upon freezing compared to the Turtle Mage does, right? Like, they're using Ray of Frost as actually a generation tool more often than they are using it as a tempo tool. Like, they try to use double Ray of Frost so they can charge their Mana Giant, or they can charge their Mana Cyclone. That seems much more important than the alternative, which is like, oh, I'm just gonna freeze so I can like push like 6 damage with my minions here, and then try to do it again. That's usually a backup option.
This is very true. This is very true. And
I mean, he has Living Dragon Breath in hand, though.
I feel like it's worse at the beginning of the game.
Yeah. We shall see.
Yep, throws it away. Ugh. I mean,
Why do you
not the worst, but definitely not the best. Zoo doesn't have those kind of like blazing fast starts that we're more accustomed to seeing from the past. They're more reliant on combos of things and explosive turns in the mid game, made possible by cards like Dark Glare and Diseased Vulture. What?
Yeah. Well, NoHandsGamer off to a pretty okay start here, but nothing really coming out from lnguagehackr. Oh wow, Flesh Giant off the top.
Okay.
So Expiring Merchant will discard this Flesh Giant, and I mean that's kind of what you're looking for, right? Like the giant tempo swing.
Yeah, there is a Devolving Missiles in the deck though that you're a little bit afraid of. But not afraid enough, Dan.
Right. I feel like a lot of times with Expired Merchant, people also like worried about the idea of devolving missiles. I was actually playing a match earlier today while kind of watching Europe and multitasking there, waiting for our turn to come up. The undercard, if you will, TJ, before the main title, which is us. And I was like basically using devolving missiles to just target their Expire Merchant, and they just ran out of stuff to play, which is actually pretty interesting, like as that approach. But I don't think you should be really afraid of that kind of dynamic if you're going up against this deck. Just really try to collect that value and go for that big swing, because what really made me afraid of Zoo was that it was like who could get their giants out first, who could get like Flesh Giant versus Mana Giant, and who could seize the board, because Ray of Frost isn't going to save me long term against like a double Flesh Giant.
Yep. Well, I mean, this is going to be definitely one of those games because Language Hacker cannot pressure this hand. I mean, he has to Nightshade Matron one of these Flesh Giants that he invested in just to try and get a little bit of tempo going his way.
So many possibilities.
Language Hacker just clearing off that mana reservoir, really annoying, but also 5/5 still hard to deal with. No Hands picks up Chen Vala. Okay. That's spicy.
Well, yeah, then he can get a 5/5 this turn because he has access to the coin and double one mana spells. I'm curious which 1 mana spells he goes for. He killed the Warlock on board, so you go for Magic Trick first and then Ray of Frost. That seems like the best option.
Yeah, totally. So, Chenvala, Ray of Frost, you can double up on them. I don't think this is the time to Magic Tricks. You can just capitalize on the spell damage and that freeze damage. And then from Language Hacker's perspective, how do you retaliate? Okay, so you have... Oh, geez, now's the time to have... You wish you had Nightshade Matron.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Language Hacker looks so sad.
I mean, this series has been quite brutal for him, I will say.
Okay, so are we on, like, the ditch? Like, forget that he has Chinvala, just generate as much tempo as you can. Your opponent just played, like, their spells, so there's less opportunities and spells for them to play, and maybe you just, like, bank on the fact that Chinvala doesn't have any ways to activate. Because double Soulfire here does not seem like a sustainable way to win. Oh, jeez.
Almost out of time.
Yeah, this is looking real bad.
Yeah, Language Hacker's like, I don't know what to do. I'm just tapping and playing minions. Oh, man. Oh,
Jandis Barov is pretty good tempo here.
Yeah, he has a Jandis. Trades are awkward, though.
Yeah. I kind of wish in these moments you have the ability as No Hands to see like Language Hacker's reactions. I feel like if you're sitting across from Language Hacker, like we were kind of playing this offline, which feels like a distant possibility at this moment.
You got two rush minions!
Rushers!
No! What?
Wow!
What in the world?
Oh, I really wish now that NoHandsGamer could see Language Hacker's reactions, because that's a 3-0, another sweep as we move past game number 3, series number 3. NoHandsGamer cleans up Language Hacker. You know what? It didn't feel like Language Hacker's day. It felt like a lot of things just kept going against him. And the text didn't really pay off, right? We kind of talked about how Living Dragon Breath, he had as an option his opening hand. Yeah. It never really was even that relevant, right? Because when NoHandsGamer committed his Frost, he kind of like had that 5-2, maybe could trade. But still, the big picture was how does he deal with Mage's big development turns? And we discussed a little bit, which is like, who can deal with each other's boards first? Because they're just basically trying to zoo as fast as they can onto it.
Language Hacker, I just feel like wasn't offered any options that game. Only real decision point was like the turn where he decided to tap or Nightshade Matron, but that one's a really tough one, and it just goes to show you that like all these pieces of zoo don't necessarily operate well on their own. Where you have like discard mechanics, but you also have like damage yourself mechanics, and if you draw them like the wrong side of each of those, it just makes the deck look like a terrible tempo deck.
Yeah.
So we'll see though. Language Clapper out in full
We'll
force,
see.
and we'll see if he can turn around his six more matches, Dan. 6 more matches left.
That's right. Lots of time, and we'll see how Language Hacker turns it around. For now, NoHandsGamer starts off his Division A campaign on the right foot. One more match in Division A, and then we start to dip into Division B. We got 2 more for you, so we're going to take a break in a few minutes. We're going to have Monsanto versus Killing all day. It's going to be a real fun one. Don't go anywhere. More Hearthstone Grandmasters right after this.